Hi, this is Jamey with Stonemaier Games, and I'm here today to talk about my favorite game mechanism in Guilds of London. Guilds of London is, it's a lot of things, but at its heart, it's an area control game. You're putting these tiles out on this board. Actually, there's no board. You're just putting tiles on the table, and you are using multi-use cards, which is pretty much the core mechanism of the game, these multi-use cards, to place, to either get more meeples that you can use to take some special actions, or to put meeples on the different tiles that are on the board. And each tile has a threshold. At the end of each round, if that threshold of total meeples has been reached, so say it has a threshold of 4 meeples, and from several players or even just one player, there's at least 4 meeples on that tile, then you score that tile. One of the players will win majority for it, and the other players won't. And it has kind of a clever mechanism for tiebreakers that we didn't realize until midway through the game, where the tiebreakers for those tiles are the winners of the adjacent tiles, or meeples that you have on adjacent tiles, which is a really clever way of doing it, so that there's a spatial reason for where all the tiles are. But my favorite mechanism in this game, and I don't even know if it's necessarily my favorite, because the multi-use cards are really clever, the area majority, all those things I just mentioned are really clever. It's a well put together game. But this is kind of a unique mechanism. In some games, there is such thing as a dead turn, or a turn that at least feels like a dead turn, where you can't really do much, maybe you can't do anything at all, and you have to take just a dead action, a very basic action, or just even skip your turn sometimes, which is really not good if you have to completely lose a turn in the game. And the equivalent of this in some games is like, even in one of my favorite games, Terra Mystica, if you pass really early in a round, there's a reason for you doing that. You might want to pass for a reason, but usually you pass because you don't have any other actions to take, and then you just sit there as other people take actions, other people who have planned better essentially, and you're just sitting there. So you have what feels like a bunch of dead turns while other players take turns. Guilds of London does something really clever, where with these multi-use cards that you have in hand, basically on your turn, if you play at least one card, and you can play as many cards as you want, a big aspect of the game is creating combos with these cards. So usually you want to play more than one. But on your turn, if you play at least one card, at the end of your turn, you draw exactly 2 cards. And there are ways during your turn that you can draw more cards. There are actions you can take that let you draw cards if you play them well, if you combo them well. But at the end of every turn, if you play at least one card, you draw 2 cards. Or if you play no cards, at the end of your turn, you draw 4 cards. I hope I'm getting that number right now that I said this so emphatically, but I'm pretty sure it's 4 cards. You're basically doubling the number of cards that you would draw. You're really enhancing your hand. And one of the guys I play with contends that that's something that you never want to do. I disagree, because combos are so important in this game that on some turns, if you have a few cards in hand, you might be able to play a few of them, and then you draw 2 cards at the end of your turn. It feels good, you did some things. But those cards might be significantly more powerful if comboed with other cards. So by using a turn to not just draw extra cards, draw 2 plus 2 cards, you are also significantly increasing your chances of building into a powerful combo. And I think that is a huge difference. So I really, really like that combination in this game. The combination of using cards for combos paired with the ability to take a dead turn just to draw extra cards and use those cards to create a more powerful combo the next turn. It's a brilliant way to have a dead turn in the game, because it does not feel like a dead turn when you're drawing those extra cards, and it really helps to have actually the downtime to puzzle together those combos while other players are taking their turns, even though your turn was very short. So really, really clever mechanism, clever use of dead turns in this game. If you can think of another game that has a clever use of a dead turn that doesn't feel like a dead turn at all, or if you just want to talk about your favorite mechanism in Guilds of London, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Thanks.